What's going on, YouTube? Welcome to episode 36 of the U.S.S. Enterprise D tutorial. I'm Zero Elite, and I just want to thank you very much for tuning in today's episode. If you haven't, please don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button, helping me in supporting the channel. And today we've got about an 18-minute video. We're going to be picking up where we left off on the deflector dish, getting some more work done. We'll be primarily focusing on the back portion where the actual middle portion of the dish is going to be going in today. So without further ado, we're just going to be hopping right into it. And what we're going to do is we're going to go along the lip here and do a row of yellow concrete. And we're going to be doing this going all the way around. And one of the reasons I'm doing this, for the same reason why we've pretty much done this anytime that we've um, gone into where we're testing things out for the build. But in this case, we're not necessarily testing anything out. I just wanted to put a block down to differentiate the back wall with this curved side here. Now on the bottom side, you can see that I built on top of the lip. On this upper side here, as we've gone up, you can see I'm actually going one back. And that was because when I did this, for whatever reason, the top portion didn't come back just as far as the bottom. But that's okay. We can fix that. Which we're pretty much going to be doing at this point, because we are going to go back and swap out this yellow with the blue when we're done with everything. So now we're going this side, and again we're just building along the bottom. We're not going off the lip of it, but actually building on top of it. It's only when we get to the upper half. Now we're going to switch to the brown concrete, and we're just going to go along with the cut line and add a row going all the way around. Now, I could be wrong, but I think eventually we're going to come back and slightly tweak this, because I think my first go around at building the actual deflector dish, the brown portion of it, the very middle of it, I made it somewhat too big. So I think we are going to come back at one point and make this at least one block smaller. But I'd say for the purpose of being in the same spot where I am, just do what I'm doing right now. Because at the end of the day, we just need to get something down and see how it looks. We could always make tweaks to it as we go. So that's pretty good. That gives us a nice template and a really good idea of how the deflector dish, how big the middle portion is actually going to end up being. And it's not looking too bad. So now we're going to go back, we're going to get rid of our X access point for the middle. We don't need this anymore. Now you can see what I'm doing is I'm building pretty much like a wall on each side. And the reason I'm doing this is because there's going to be a cut in the very middle of it. And you'll see what I mean here when we get it all filled in. But on the deflector dish, it does have like a cut in the dead center of it. So that's what we're doing right now with the blue. We've gone too high with the yellow. Now we're going to replace that. We're going to get rid of that actually, but we're going to build all that in with the brown concrete. So you should have something that looks just like that. And I was looking ahead. One of the episodes to this week might end up being a long one, and that's because I want to wrap up the deflector dish this week. I don't want to go more than 2 weeks on this part of the ship, because I want to move on with the next portion of it. So what I'm getting at is one of the episodes this week, more than likely Thursday's episode, is going to be a long one because at that point I'm pretty much I want to get this all wrapped up. And we still have some things to do on it, some small loose ends here and there. We've got the curve that we've got to do up top, and we still have a little bit of molding that we have to do. Now, getting back in a little bit what I've got going on, you can see there going along the brown outline, I just added another layer coming outward towards us. So now we should have 2 rows of it. So now what we're going to do, we're going to go back and that row of the yellow concrete that we'd started with, we're going to swap that out for blue. And we're going to do that going all the way around. And if I'm not mistaken, I believe that we're actually going to end up moving this deflector dish forward a little bit, because I ultimately decide the placement that it's at now is a little bit too far back. So that's going to be one thing that we're going to be doing this week too. We won't get into that today, but that'll either be in tomorrow's episode or Thursday's episode. But no, what I'm going to do is tonight, um, I'm going to go through and look at the rest of my episodes that has the deflector dish and see how many I have. And it could very well be where it's just one long episode on Thursday, but we could end up having 2 long episodes on Wednesday and Thursday. It just kind of depends. Because, like I said, I really don't want to go into next week on the deflector dish. I want to be able to move on to different sections of the ship. And because, I mean, no matter how we go about this, we're going to be spending some time on this thing. I'm still really I've got so much left to do myself where I'm currently at on this build. I'm I've begun to detail the outside of the ship, adding in windows and just detailing in certain different areas, doing the hull and things like that. And I'm still working on the interior. And there's so much to do that I haven't done yet. So um, I could easily foresee this going out to 100 episodes, but we're going to play this by ear. I don't want to commit to that number if it ends up being more or it ends up being less. We'll just kind of have to see how it'll play out. But I've got a lot of screen captures that I've done for this so far. So anyway, talking a little bit more about what we got going on, you can see now going along the brown concrete row, we're adding another line. I know up top here it's a little bit dark. I didn't add a sea lantern. I apologize for that. But as long as you're building along the outline of your your brown concrete, we're just adding another layer coming towards us. This is the third layer. You're in good shape. We're just going with a cut line, building on the pre-existing row that we have already, just building one out. And the reason that I'm doing that is that this deflector dish, if you look at a model of the Enterprise D, this portion of the deflector dish sits out a little bit. It doesn't sit flush with the very back wall of it. It's kind of basically the easiest way to describe it is it looks 3D. It has a 3D shape to it, and it almost looks like it's floating off the back wall. Um, so that's going to be something that we're going to try to recreate here a little bit. And now, since we've brought this out by 3, we're going to be doing a row in the dead center, going along the cut line in the middle, and we're going to be actually filling all that in. Want to make sure though, what we're not doing is filling in that blue cut in the dead center that we added. All right, we got a couple more rows to do. We're going to be moving on to the next thing. So I'll have about 9 minutes left in today's episode. We're going to try to get as much done as we can. But the 19, like 20, 20 to 24 minutes, that's kind of where I want to be in each episode. But No matter what, there's just going to be no way around it, unless I want to go out a couple of weeks on the deflector dish, because I spent some time working on this thing. There was just no way around it, and like I said, I'm trying to avoid doing all that. So I'm thinking about doing now is doing like a row of blue going up one from that middle portion that we started with, and doing kind of like another outline going around. Now we will have to move the cut in a little bit in order to do that, which isn't really a big deal. That's like a super easy fix. You can see I'm not doing anything crazy. I'm literally just going off of the pre-existing pattern that we have here. That's how I'm coming up with that. Obviously, we're going to have to bring that in a little bit more right here to accommodate the cut. I actually messed up right there. There we go. Now we're in good shape. What I'm going to try to do is along the back wall here on the underside, I'm going to take one row going all the way around off. But to be honest with you, you're never really going to notice this unless you get all up in the deflector dish. So if you really wanted to skip this step, you totally could. But also take into account, we are going to be moving this piece forward. We're going to be kind of reconfiguring this. Not so much the design that we have. We're pretty much going to be taking everything that we have and pulling it forward, if that makes sense. And I'll show you in tomorrow and Thursday's episode what I mean by that. This is just one of those cases that I'm trying something to see how it looks, but ultimately, I'm pretty much spoiling it for you. The aftermath of it was that I didn't like this because this little bit of detail that I'm doing right now, you're never going to see it pretty much. Now, what you could do, if you really wanted to, we could take this opportunity, this cut slits that we're making in the back, we could fill this in with sea lanterns to help light it a little bit, or candles, depending on what you want to do. I think candles will be a little bit easier to hide as opposed to sea lanterns. You're going to see those a little bit more. Um, but that would definitely serve a purpose of having that cut that we're making back here. Yeah, finally, I got some light in here. And I apologize for that. I've been pretty good about it so far, getting the lighting where it needs it, but I'm not going to lie. Sometimes I forget as I'm building because I've just got tunnel vision and I'm not thinking about anything else other than just building. So, um, those of you that have asked me to get lighting in here, I apologize that I haven't done it a little bit more frequently. at least on this portion of the build. I think this is honestly probably the only part that I really didn't have that much lighting on it. Um, and now that doesn't look terrible, but I got to be honest, the way that looks right now, it doesn't look fantastic either. Yeah, seeing that right there, we need to keep all that. I was gonna come in here to try to do something with the lighting, but if there were half slabs and things like that, we'd be able to put sea lanterns behind it and you'd be able to see. But if we fill that back wall with the sea lanterns, it's not going to shine through, unfortunately. I wish that it would, because it would make lighting this thing so much easier and we'd be able to hide it. Yeah, see, and that's what I was mean. You can definitely put sea lanterns behind that. You wouldn't really see them too much unless you get all up in it. All right, cool. That sea lantern up top is in the dead center. I'm just basically lining it up so I can put one behind and hide it. Yeah, seeing there, we can see it a little bit better now. Yeah, I think what's messing me up here is that this looks good, but like you see like this cut right here and how it goes in, this like right here has me messed up. So what we're ultimately going to do is where it starts to go inward off of this row right here, we're going to be bringing this back wall of the deflector dish up to this line right here. So it'll be, the deflector dish won't be nearly as big as it is right now technically, but still the same design. We're just going to be shifting part of it. This is the one thing I don't like doing unless I have no choice and absolutely have to, throwing some candles down. It's funny, that's something I'm actually working on right now where I'm lighting the neck of the Enterprise. Um, and one cool thing that I decided that I wasn't just going to add a bunch of light sources on the neck, that I was going to try to focus on only having candles where there's windows to give the impression that there's light shining through. Um, I tried to throw in some sea lanterns on the inside to make it look like that there was lighting coming from the outside, but it wasn't really lighting up the ship the way that I wanted it to. Yeah, and see, this is something you can do too. If you use the candles instead of the sea lanterns, those will probably work a little bit better because, as you can see here, they're not sticking out nearly as much. At least in this portion of the build, we can totally get away with doing that, and you won't even notice them, with the exception of the front here. Yeah, that doesn't look too bad. Yeah, this row right here, how it cuts inward, we're going to be pretty much this whole back wall, we're going to be shifting that forward up into this row here. So this way it doesn't have like such a drastic indentation. It's kind of just after this row right here, it's just flat straight across the back. And then we will just have to rebuild this section here. But it's not necessarily a big deal. Just moving what we currently have forward and making a couple of shifts and tweaks. But I think that's going to wrap us up today. We've got a little bit done. And like I said, we'll be wrapping up the deflector dish this week. And yeah, I think that's going to do it today. I just want to thank everybody again for tuning in today's episode. And if you did enjoy this content, please help me out and hit that like and subscribe button, helping me in supporting the channel. I can't thank you enough for that. And New subscribers, don't forget to hit notifications on so you just get notified when those new videos drop. And speaking of new videos, you can always catch my new Minecraft videos dropping Tuesdays through Thursdays. Um, if you have any questions regarding this episode, be sure to drop a comment below. Or if you have any builds that you want to see me do, or any rooms that I'm working that you want to see me include on the Enterprise D, be sure to drop a comment while I'm still working on this build. Or if you just want to drop by to say, hey, definitely love from hearing everybody. Anyway, that's going to wrap it up for me. I just want to thank you all again for tuning in to today's episode. I hope everybody has a happy and safe week, and I'll catch you on the next episode.